Hello and welcome back to Onderheim Zoo. You may notice something a little bit different in here today that may not have had last episode, and that is a giant hole in the ground. So this is where we are going to be building today, which I'm super excited about. I just wanted to lay it out off camera because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted it to look like or how big I wanted it to be, but I have a pretty good idea now of like the layout and exactly what we're going for. So I think that'll help quite a bit, and I'm quite excited about that. It's going to be super fun building under here. But before we actually get into that, what I wanted to do today was go over some animal management quick. I thought it might be helpful for you guys if I showed you how I do my animal management a little bit, even though it's kind of like a boring thing to see on camera, the actual management part, I imagine. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just show you what I did, and then I'm going to go through, do the trading and all of that, probably off camera. But essentially what I did, I ordered everything by species, as kind of the default is, and I went through and marked everybody that I wanted to move around. So the first main part was the penguins, because we don't really have a ton of African buffalo yet, and they seem to be doing okay, and some of them are a bit older, but yeah, we don't really have any like gold rated babies for the African buffalo, so I'm not going to bother doing the trading and stuff with them. But the main first thing that I looked at was our African penguins, and that is because we actually have a challenge to release 26 penguins to the wild, and I thought that is a lot of penguins, but also we have a lot of penguins, so maybe we could make it work. So what I did was I went through all of the penguins that are not our breeding penguins, so all of the ones that were born in the zoo, and marked them either as R for release or T for sending to the trade center. And how I did that was anybody who was not rated, so like they're below bronze rated, is scheduled for release. So they're not super useful to us in that they're not going to make us a lot of money in the trade center, and we're not really going to want to breed them at any point because they're not gold rated. So I figured those are great ones for release. And any that are gold rated that are, I mean, honestly, she's a little bit old, but I mean, still an adult. Any of our adults who are gold rated, I put to store in the trade center, either for actual trading or for us to like reinitiate our breeding pairs once we need to, sort of thing. And then anybody who is bronze or silver, I'm just going to leave in the habitat because that appeal is really good for our guests and all of that. It's not perfect appeal, but it's still pretty good appeal, and I want to keep this habitat quite populated because the penguins like a lot of other penguins. So that's all I did. I marked them, and then I'm just going to go through and check them off and send them to where they need to go in a minute here. So that's how I went through the entire thing of penguins. Of course, anybody who was born in the zoo is on contraceptives, just because I don't want them inbreeding, and this makes it easier to not inbreed. And these are all the ones that we got that are all the breeding pairs are all here. So yeah, that is what that looks like for the penguins. Similarly, I went through, I mean, our elephants are not there yet. Our wild dogs, I put a few up for trading. So it's kind of, I mean, we've got quite a few. So essentially all of these gold rated babies, I decided we would send them to the trade center. I'll probably save the best ones to redo a breeding pair later on, when these ones age out, but I'll also make a little bit of conservation credits selling them because I actually want to get quite a few animals to finish off this zoo. So we've got a few more that we need, and we are kind of running low on conservation credits because I haven't really been releasing anybody from this zoo, so that'll be good. Camels are good because they're still an early ad. Our wildebeests are also good because they're not breeding super quickly. Just a couple of ostriches, I put her up for trade because she's gold rated and she's still really young, so I figured we'd trade her. And then our males are already in the trade center, so we'll also save the best male, but put the others up for trade. And same with the warthogs, like our males are already in the trade center because they had some issues with fighting, so we don't really need to worry about them too much. Our dingoes are new babies too. They're kind of, I could actually put these two, maybe that would be a good idea, to trade these ones while they're still young, or at least like store them while they're still young, because they don't age in the trade center. So if we store them now, that way we can use them for breeding later. Fennec foxes, I'm gonna put a couple. Actually, did I decide? Oh no, we already put a couple in the trade center, so those are the ones that for whatever reason are in there. I don't know why she's in the trade center. Oh no, actually I remember what I did here. Okay, so our alpha female changed for our fennec foxes, and this happened for a couple of our species as well, as we're going through, like the meerkats, the others who have alphas. So she was born in Onderheim Zoo, so she was one of the cubs from our last litter, but our old alpha female passed away, so she took over. So essentially what I did was any males that are in here that are not like anybody who was inbreeding with her now, I put on contraceptives. So you'll see like Malakir used to be a breeder for us. He was from a different zoo, but he's directly related to Malika here, so he ended up getting put on contraceptives. I feel I'm not going to try to sell him because he's elderly, of course. We'll let him live out his days in our zoo, both of these guys. But yeah, I ended up sending Rushdie here to the trade center because he was also directly related to Malika, and it's also gold rated, so that's great. I actually don't know why Alima here is in the trade center. That might have been a mistake. But same with Latif. He couldn't breed with Malika, so he's in the trade center as well. And then as we keep going down, we're almost done. Peafowl, I've left them because they still have plenty of room in their habitat space. So I'll start to deal with the peafowl once there's too many of them for their habitat. But they like being in large groups as well, and they don't really get you too much in the trade center anyway. And yeah, our meerkats are all doing pretty good. I just put on the males that are new, that cannot breed with our new alpha female. I put them on contraceptives. But besides that, we actually don't, our meerkats aren't like gold rated. I think we got like I couldn't find gold rated ones to buy in the beginning, so we're not like doing super well on these guys. But their appeal is actually super high anyway, so it's fine. They like also being a big pairs or a big group, so we'll leave them be. And yeah, I put up a couple of our giraffes to throw into the trade center just because they're still fairly young and gold rated, so I figured we'd throw them in. I'll probably throw all our males in essentially as they age up, because I don't want really more than a couple of males in here. And yeah, I think that was pretty much all of it. Our Springboks, I just did the breeding thing as well. And same with our Thompson's gazelles. I just had to change who was on contraceptives and who wasn't. But yeah, that is kind of how I go about managing my animals. I kind of come to this screen and go through all those details. And once we start to get to issues like the peafowl habitat being too populated and stuff, then I will just start trading or releasing to the wild, probably for peafowl, the youngest ones as soon as they age up. And to do that, I just like filter by species and sort by maturity. But maybe I'll show you that once we actually get there. It's we still have a little ways to go for the peafowl, so that's all good. And I don't know if our penguins will ever actually end up too full of a habitat. It's hard to say. So I'm gonna go through and put everybody where they belong, maybe put some up for trade and all of that, and then I will show you what that looks like when that's done as well. All right, so we now have 73 animals stored in our trade center, which is quite a bit. There's actually quite a few in here still from Naropa City Zoo that I think I'm gonna just trade off. I don't think we're not really playing in that zoo anymore. So yeah, I think it's fair to just do that. I did release a bunch of the penguins, but it was only 12 of the penguins, so I'm not going to be in a rush. I'm not going to get rid of our penguins just for the sake of getting rid of them. But yeah, I figure, we'll get there over time as we get some more penguins. Hopefully we can finish that challenge. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here. I'm going to look up everybody too. So essentially I'd like to just go to the animal market, take a look at what things are trading for so that I can, price just a little bit less than what's already available and hopefully get them traded quite quickly. I figure it's more, especially with something like the African penguin where I have a lot of them, like it's better for me to just sell my gold rated ones at like 1,000 or 800 each for them to go really quickly rather than wait for them to get traded and keeping up space in my animal storage. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll keep a couple, like the best ones from each as well, so that we can always replenish the habitats as needed. But yeah, I'm gonna do that really quick, and then pretty much after that we'll be able to start on the build. And without any further ado, here is our speed build for today. So I did play around a bit off camera with getting this water in. I just wanted to see how optimal I could get like the height of it placed and you know, compared to all the pathways and all of that sort of thing, because you know, it is a little bit tedious when you're trying to put paths over top of water, I find. And then of course I'm probably going to change it up a bit once I figure out, you know, where exactly I want all of this to go to, but you know, in the end, it's fine. It works out. But yeah, I figured I wouldn't make you sit through all of the stamping and trying to figure out the water level and the pathways and all of that for this particular section. But I do like how it ended up anyway. So what we are working on today, so I'm sure you've seen the previews of it and all of that, but what essentially this is, or at least what I wanted to make this look like, was an old, like, basically an old sewer system of some sort that just got overgrown. Maybe, you know, I was kind of thinking about it, and like we end up using a lot of plants in here. And sure, how do those plants grow without light? I mean, we'll use our imagination a little bit. I do kind of imagine, like, you know, there'll be like sewer like man covers up top probably here and there, and all of that to actually, you know, let in a little bit of light. Maybe there's some manholes up there, whatever they're called. And that would be, you know, it is what it is. But, oh, actually you can see here, yeah. So I do edit some of this on camera because I wanted to push it back quite a bit, the water. But yeah, anyway, so kind of what you would imagine an old sewer system that's been overgrown and all of that. That's kind of the vibe we're going for here. So a lot of concrete, because a lot of this is made, you know, would be made out of concrete. I think that makes sense, at least in my mind that makes sense, for kind of all of this stuff to be made out of concrete. The waterfalls are more or less just meant to be like, you know, like water dripping kind of down from up above into these like sewer pools, that sort of thing, like a system. Obviously the waterfalls are a very neat way to do that, like not messy enough probably, but you know, it's fine once we cover all of this in plants, and most of it's in the dark anyway. I think it sells it. I think it sells the illusion. You can kind of let me know in the end, but I think it works out well. So just kind of showing you here what I end up doing for basically all of these sections. All of these walls like this, I just put the kind of dirt garden pads in there to show that, you know, there's dirt for plants to grow on, and then just cover it in plants. I use these pieces all over the place once the plants are placed in. I take chunks of this and, you know, repeat it throughout and all of that. So I just wanted this to be very dense, very lush, very dense, all of that fun stuff. So I think that comes out really nicely here as well, and that way you can't even really see that the water's coming from nowhere. So at this point I've copy and pasted those plants all over the place, and you'll also notice that I used the billboards in the background to make it look like maybe this keeps on going. So I was thinking, like, sure, I guess it could just be this small space, but what if we use these billboards to kind of like make it look like the full, like it just keeps going in the background too, right? I was hoping that this would be nice and like kind of camouflaged a bit in the dark, like you wouldn't really see it, but if you looked, it wouldn't just look like a plain dirt wall either. And I think it, you know, I kind of like how it looks in the end, even if it does look maybe fake. I mean, it is a zoo, so like everything is staged. So I think it kind of works out. You can let me know in the end what you think of those as well, because yeah, I don't know, I think I like how it looks in the end. And that image was just something that I got on like one of those free stock photo websites, like Pexels or something. I can't remember which website it was, but it's just like a dark forest background that I used and just cut it up in order to make like each section of it a single screen size, and those are just the like, I think 8-inch screens or 16-inch screens, I can't remember which one. But yeah, I ended up putting those all the way around the entire underground here in the end. But here now we are, of course, struggling as always with creating some barriers underwater and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, I don't know why the null barriers have an issue with like height differences. I don't know why it doesn't just work. I think it should. So the barriers look a little wonky in the end. There are no straight nice angles or anything, but I think that's okay. I think it looks okay. And also you don't see them anyway. So as long as it connects, and as long as there's no escape points, we're all good. So this is the first habitat, and this one is the habitat that we end up putting our aardvarks in. So I think it's slightly bigger than the other ones, or they're all pretty similar size, I think, but they're relatively small habitats, but these are also relatively small animals that don't actually need very large habitats. So it works out really well here. Like, they have plenty of space compared to their space requirements, which is nice. And yeah, this area is going to be a nice little food court, as you can probably see here. So just messing around. The pathways here just didn't really work out how I wanted them to. When you start to go like over the water like that, they sometimes break a bit, and then they won't let you place things, and it's just it was a little bit of a mess, but in the end we got there. This all ends up being covered in the end by concrete and walls and that sort of thing. And then back on the side here is going to be a staff area. So it's going to be for all staff for this area. We've got the, vet stuff here. We've got the keeper hut here. We have the staff room for all of the staff, the mechanics, the vendors, and everybody is all going in that area there. And then we will also do another staff room on the other, or another keeper hut on the other side as well, because that way they don't have to cross over all the time. They're not as far away from the guests as most of ours are. They're usually a little bit more hidden, but this is a small space, so I think it worked out really well how this is, because they're not close enough to the guests for the guests to notice them, and they kind of end up being very hidden underneath all the concrete when we do cover it up. So yeah, this one definitely, the place for the staff rooms here worked out really well. And then yeah, these are the other two habitats, one on this side, one on the opposite side, right up next to the keeper huts and stuff. So that'll be nice and easy for for our keepers, hopefully. Hopefully we only need a couple keepers in this area. I feel like we're getting to, have a lot of staff in this zoo, but I guess lots of staff isn't really a problem either. And there's our first aardvark. So threw the aardvarks in to see what we needed to do for terrain and stuff. And of course we need a lot of grass and that sort of thing, which I think makes more sense here anyway. I kind of ended up covering most of the ground with at least short grass, because, everything's so tropical. Why would it be dirt, I guess? Although, I mean, it is still underground, so it could be dirt. But most of these animals liked grass more anyway, so I ended up just kind of covering everything that was exposed with grass. And in the end, not much is exposed down here anyway, so you'll see that once we actually cover up all those buildings. We end up hiding pretty much all of the ground that are not in the habitats. And yeah, this is our pangolin habitat here. So similarly, they liked, more, I mean, actually these guys liked a lot of weird stuff. It was soil and that sort of thing. Now here was a weird thing that happened. It kind of seemed like, I don't know, I need to double check again actually after this, but for a while there, it was the terrain is perfect, and then I kind of added these ponds in and added the trees and then went back, and it said that there was way too much sand in their habitat. And the exact same thing happens with the habitat across the way as well, is suddenly there's a bunch of sand in the habitat, and I don't know, is it underwater? I covered the water with dirt, so it wouldn't be underwater. I don't know where all this sand's coming from. I thought, is it the walls? Is it I don't know what it is. So yeah, a little bit weird there, but yeah, I don't know about that. I might have to look back into that again afterwards as well. So all of these guys too, they all do well with really short barriers. So in the end, I do end up using concrete walls instead of the concrete barriers, just because I thought it looked a little bit more cohesive once we get all the buildings put in. Yeah, you see it here, the sand issue. It's 49% sand, but I have no idea where the sand is. I don't know. Unless it's taking into consideration what's over top of them, the land over top of them. I don't know. It's very confusing to me. But yeah, the same thing's gonna happen for these guys as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. If you have noticed it and know why that is it just because their habitat's covered in sand, technically, with the roof? I don't know. Let me know maybe if you have any other ideas, or if you know for a fact that's why. Because, all of us have built underground habitats before, right? It's a normal thing, build habitats underground. But yeah, I like how these habitats turned out. They're very they're pretty dark back there, and they're gonna be dark as well once we get this whole thing covered up. But I think they look really cool in the dark. And I'll show you the tour in the dark afterwards. Everything looks really cool down here in the dark once it's done. But this area here, I'm gonna throw in a couple of exhibits just to kind of, you know, give the guests a little bit more to do under here. You know, I really want to encourage them to come this way, and even to come this way and up to the temple, because I know the temple isn't very exciting for our guests. It's very exciting for us. I really like it, and, you know, I hopefully you guys really like that temple as well, but it's not very exciting for our guests, because really the scarab's the only thing in there for them. And, you know, that's just the way this game works sometimes. We just have to, you know, we do some things for us and we do some things for the game. And that temple happened to be something for us, not necessarily for the game. So I'm hoping that just this being down here and this being a very exciting area for guests with 3 animals, 2 exhibits, like a full, like so many, like I think it's probably one of our most populated areas in terms of like how many animals we have in such a short, like in such a small area. I'm hoping it gets people walking through that temple either to get here or to leave here and go to the rest of the zoo. So that's what I'm hoping for anyway. We'll have to see once our zoo actually fully fills up, how that ends up going. But yeah, this is what that kind of concrete thing looks like. So I'm going to cover this one in the same sort of concrete. And then on the roofs of both of these areas is going to just be copy and pasting those trees and bushes and dirt pieces so that this is all covered up, essentially. So the staff area is all undercover, I guess. They kind of look like they just have like a concrete ceiling under here. You know, maybe it's like a big old like pipeway or something like that. I don't know what that would be in terms of like where they walk. But yeah, that is kind of just what ended up working out here. So I really hope you guys like how this turned out as much as I do. You know, skip ahead to the tour if you want to at this point, or, you know, whatever it might be. It's coming up very soon here. The speed build's almost over. And yeah, the way that this looks in the end, I did the lighting off camera, just because, I don't know, I find lighting's kind of hard to watch. It's hard to see. But yeah, here I'm just kind of testing out how high the roof should be based on, you know, how deep the ground's going to be over top of it and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, that is pretty much it here. I just copy and paste these all the way over all of the roofs, and then let's take a look at what it looks like in the end. All right, you guys, are you ready to see what this looks like firsthand? All right, so let's run through here. Oh, I actually did find, I know I mentioned at the end of last episode, I did find the smoke. What is this called? I think it's smoke, not fog. So I put that in there just for a little bit of effect. It actually, you don't see it very well at nighttime, but that's okay. So here we are. So this is what it looks like when you enter in down here. So it is nighttime. It looks a bit different in the daytime, and I'll show you what it looks like in the daytime afterwards. But this is what it looks like when it's at its darkest. So look at this. Isn't this so cool? It looks very like, I don't know, very Avatar to me. I don't know, I just think it looks so cool. So this is the area, which I have quite a few guests down here already, which is pretty good. But here's our aardvark. Oh, look, you can actually see him there. Look at him. So it looks really cool here in the dark because, like, this is meant to be sort of like a nocturnal house. I don't think I ever really mentioned that, but all of these animals that are in here are nocturnal. So obviously they're supposed to be kind of in the dark. And I like how this green light gives them sort of like a night vision effect. Obviously you can't see them as well as you'd like, but hopefully the idea is, you know, if you come here for the animal talk, you know, they'll throw the food over, they'll come and get it, that sort of thing. So you'll be able to see it better. Oh, it looks like somebody's already broken one of our screens as well. How lovely. But yeah, you can see these guys if they come swimming. They do sometimes swim up here. Up to the edge here, and then yeah, if they're, you know, in the first little area, if they're in the back, they get their privacy, but yeah, if they're up here, we can definitely get a pretty good view of them. So over on this side here is the exhibits, so let's run through here quick and take a look at them. So this one is our tree frog exhibit. I don't know, they're probably on the tree. They're always really hard to see. Actually, there's one right there. Cutie, very nice. So I think these guys are nocturnal as well. I could be a little bit off on my knowledge there, but I think they are. And then same with the tarantula. So this, we have the, I put in the Brazilian salmon pink tarantula, something like that. I think that's what they're called. I could be off a little bit. And I haven't actually seen them in the exhibit yet. They might be kind of too small to see properly. And it's also kind of dark in here, so I don't know. They're in there somewhere. I promise you they are there. And here's just some more like kind of creepy sewage water situation going on over here. And this is the little food court area. So that's a staff door. But this is, we've got our food, our information, our bathrooms all down here, some drinks and, all that fun stuff, hats. I'm actually thinking maybe I should do 2 drink and not 2 food. I didn't really realize I have 2 food stands and only 1 drink stand, because everybody's basically thirsty all the time. So maybe I'll put some water in there instead. It might be a good change to make. But yeah, here's the Binturong. Let's see, can we see any kind of similar situation here? So we can see just sort of to the back there, or to like the middle-ish of the habitat. So if they do come out here, or if they do go swimming or anything like that, we can see them. But other than that, they do have their privacy. And this is where, people will sit to listen to the education talk on this side. And then similarly on this side, you can, listen to the pangolin talk as well. And the pangolins would be in here if we could see them. It looks like there's some rotting stuff over there. That's lovely. We need to get a keeper in here ASAP. And I don't see any pangolins. So, yeah, that is the underground at nighttime. So I will switch it to daytime quick here, and we can take a quick look at just what it looks like in the day as well. But if you want a quick overview glance as well, oops, let's not go through the roof. This is what it looks like. So yeah, I think I really like this. I like the color in here. I think it works out really well. It's quite dark. It's still we have the path lighting, but it's still kind of eerie. I feel like you can see the animals well enough. At least the guests, I think, feel like they can see them well enough. I can barely see them from here. Well, why are you trying to see the Binturong from here? I don't know. Anyway, maybe she came from that way. But yeah, hopefully guests like this area, and hopefully it becomes a little bit more full as time goes on. Oh, there's some... Did I not put these lights in? I could have sworn I put those lights down. All right, well, it looks like I got to do that too. That's weird. I could have sworn that I placed them all underground. I guess only half of them. Whoops, my bad. But anyway, this is what it looks like down here when it's more like daylight outside. So some of the light does come through. I don't know from where. It just comes through the ground. Like the ground isn't light blocking apparently, and neither is the black plaster that I put on the ceiling. I don't know. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So this is what it looks like in here. Still kind of dark. Still kind of still very it looks very foggy down here almost. I think it's still a cool effect, but it is definitely a different effect. You can actually see the color of the water too. The water doesn't look this color at night. Oh, we're already changing to nighttime. Let me just set it to a certain time. There we go. Yeah, the water doesn't look like this at night, but that is the actual color of the water. And you can get a better view of the animals during the day. Like you can now see all the way to the back of the habitat. You can see them kind of wandering out back there, all of that fun stuff. But yeah, different vibe. Definitely a different vibe, but I think it still works. I think it still works. I was hoping that it was always really dark down here. I don't really love the fact that the light's coming through, but I guess maybe it's realistic because we would have some points of light, whether it's some vents or something. Like, how else would the plants grow down here if we didn't have any light? So yeah, I guess it's maybe a bit realistic for it to be brighter down here during the day as well. But yeah, that's what that looks like. So obviously nothing really new to view up here other than we covered up the hole. And I actually connected the pathway to here as well, because we are going to want that connected anyway in the end. So I just connected it for now so we could get some more guests down there right off the bat. But that is all that we have for today's episode. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I hope you guys like this whole temple to underground feature. It was an idea that I actually had gotten from my comments back in Naropa City Zoo about having a whole underground tropical zoo underneath the main area. I didn't want to do a whole big thing for that because it was kind of, I wasn't sure how it would work out and if people would like it and all of that, but I think what we did do as just having this little feature connected to the temple, I think it's a cool idea. You can let me know what you think as well. if you've seen anything like it before, or, you know, if it gives you some ideas of something cool you might want to build in your zoos, let me know all of that. And next episode, we will do, we're going to be doing a bit of an expansion out over this area here. So we're going to be taking the Egypt style and kind of expanding it out a little bit on this side of the temple, probably doing like this station here. And then similarly, we're going to take this kind of Moroccan style of the entrance area and bring it off out across the bridge here, and probably build into this station as well, and you know, connect those two together somehow. It might be just kind of, you know, melded together. I don't know the best way. Maybe we'll do it gimmicky and like make it a sign or something, like now entering Egypt, now entering Morocco, or something like that. But I'm not totally sure. But I do want the pathway to actually go over top of the land all the way through here. No, actually, do I want that? No, maybe we don't want that. I don't know. At first I was kind of thinking maybe we would let them walk all the way through here to like this station, but maybe we don't want that. Maybe we want to force them to walk underground to come through here. I think that might be better, actually. This is the thought process that goes into all of this. But yeah, anyway, look out for that next episode, and I will talk to you then.